Good evening, and welcome to the virtual community meeting for the Blue and the Dillion fires. I'm Charity Berry, and I'm a public information officer. For our online participants, if you have any questions, please put those in the comments on the Facebook page that you are viewing, and we will try to address those after the speaker presentations. I have the stats for both fires. For the Blue fire, we have 2,456 acres, 0% contained. For the Dillion fire, we have 9,763 acres and 21% contained. And with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Megan Solis.
Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Solis. I'm actually a district ranger here on the Klamath National Forest, but I'm over here as agency administrator trainee on the Blue incident. So I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that's here and all the participants online. And just as you guys know, this is a way for us to get our information out to you in a pretty simple platform to follow. That way we can keep you up to date and informed. But an important part of this meeting is your communication back with us to be able to answer those questions. Drop them in the chat. Might be a little bit of a delay, so get those questions in early and we can get them answered. Yeah, that's all I have for you. So thank you.
All right, we'll go to, is James White here for fire weather? I don't believe so. All right. Stuart's going to jump on up for us. Thank you, Stuart.
Good evening, Stuart Turner, Fire Behavior. So as the fire behavior analyst for team, what I do is I predict what the fire is going to do, where it's going to go, and how fast it's going to get there. And I'm looking at three things out there. I'm looking at the topography, the hills, the mountains, the canyons. I'm looking at the fuels. The fuels I'm concerned with are the fine dead fuels. Those are real small, less than a 1/4 inch in diameter fuels. The twigs, the pine needles, the leaves, the blades of grass, that's what actually carries these large forest fires across the landscape. And I'm also looking at the weather. The weather is very important because it dries the fuels out and drives the fire in different directions. So let's take a look at the matrix if we could. And we'll talk about the weather if we have the matrix. So we're going to the paper matrix. Excellent. So as you can see on the matrix here, we're seeing a slight decrease in the weather across the board, the fire behavior or the fire weather across the board. The temperatures are going down ever so slightly and the humidities are increasing for tomorrow. But more importantly, the stability is changing. It's going down slightly. And that stability is very important because it's like the firebox of a wood stove. If you close the damper off, the fire decreases in intensity. And as you open the damper back up and allow more oxygen in, the fire increases in intensity. And that's what's going to happen tomorrow. We're going to close that damper off ever so slightly so that intensity level is going to decrease across the fire area. So that's what's going to be the big change coming. And then as we get out into the beginning of next week, we start to see some precipitation actually coming in, and that will moisten up the fuels and really start to limit that fire behavior. So we'll have to pay attention for the future to see if that precipitation actually comes in. Now there's a matrix. There we go. And that's not the right one, but that's okay. Let's move to one of the fires and we'll take a look at let's look at the Dillion fire real quick. What I think is going to happen on the Dillion fire, I don't think we're going to see any movement off the eastern side of the Dillion fire. On the Dillion spot up here, the crew's been working really hard. They've reduced a lot of that heat in there and reduced a lot of the chances of that escaping. There still is a small chance that it might come out of there with an errant ember flying across the line and starting a new spot, but that's very, very small right now. As we come along the south, it's holding very well here in Rock Creek. However, on the southwest side of Rock Creek, it's still backing down to Rock Creek proper. It has not reached that, but it will over the next day or so as it slowly works its way down. It's moving by backing and by rollouts. Rollouts are like a pine cone that's on fire or a log that catches on fire, then it rolls down those steep slopes, and then it sets new green fuel on fire that runs back up the slope. And that's a big way that the fire is going to travel down that slope into the Rock Creek drainage. As we come up the west side of Cedar Creek there, That continues to back down also, although that's not as steep as we're seeing on the south end in Rock Creek. Cedar Creek, it is backing nice and slow down through there. Once it hits the bottom of Cedar, it changes onto the other slope, and it runs up that slope fairly quickly and starts to throw spots out on the other side of that ridge top. And that's going to continue tomorrow as the fire weather does move in there. And then here on the northwest side along Dillion Creek, that continues to back down off the top of that peak there, working its way along Dillion Creek, sometimes throwing spots to the north in the old burn scar there. Luckily, that burn scar, the fuels are very sparse in there. Although there are some in there that it catches on fire, the spread is very limited because of those fuels that are in that burn scar. So that takes us all the way around the Dillion fire. Let's go over here to the Blue fire. On the Blue fire is very active tonight because of the thunderstorms that developed off to the east of it, and those thunderstorms started pushing on that fire a bit. In fact, that's where our meteorologist is right now, watching the radar, informing the troops of what's happening out there. So it's a very dynamic situation going on with that thunderstorm development on the east side. So on the east side of the Blue fire, it's slowly backing down into Walker, down to the road, has not crossed the road, but it's slowly approaching that road. As we come around to the south side in Bark Shanty, that's backing down. That's a great big drainage in there, and that's been backing down, rolling out, spotting down low, running back up. We've seen a lot of energy coming out of there today with the fire behavior in there. Same thing on No Name Creek. That's been backing down that, throwing some embers down, rolling out, running back up to the black. A lot of energy coming out of there. And then over here on Salt Creek, we're seeing a lot of energy come out of there today. And right now, as those thunderstorms are passing by, they're pushing on this pretty hard with some southeast winds, creating a great deal of intensity that's pushing up and starting to create its own thunderstorm above the fire and dropping lightning to the north. We're seeing this will start to move and throw out spots a half a mile to 3/4 a mile tonight, and those will ignite out here into the green fuels, and then they'll slowly start to grow together. So that's the fire behavior and a touch of the fire weather that we have out there right now. Thank you.
All right, good evening. I'm Sarah Cofield. I'm an Air Resource Advisor trainee, and here to talk to you about the smoke and the smoke impacts. Today and tomorrow, even looking at Saturday, we're seeing a return to kind of the patterns of smoke exposure we were seeing, thinking back Sunday and Monday, where in the morning, a lot of areas were doing pretty okay, and then you saw this kind of late morning into afternoon push of smoke that then will lift up and provide us with some better air going into the overnight. That's especially true when we are thinking areas west of the Blue fire. We saw that today throughout those areas. Of course, it is important to note that some areas are seeing more smoke than others, so that for folks who are south of the Dillion fire, particularly in Psalms Bar and Orleans, that air quality can degrade all the way to very unhealthy or hazardous, which we have seen happen multiple times over the past week before it does eventually lift out. Now, the nice thing that happened today, especially west of the fire here, is we had that really good lifting that meant that we did see the smoke that came into all of our areas, but it bounced up really fast. And so those are pretty short-lived impacts. That's likely to change tomorrow when we have that increased stability, which means that when the smoke does come in the late morning, early afternoon for areas south of the Dillion fire and kind of more mid to late afternoon for folks in Happy Camp, that smoke's going to stick around a bit longer and just be harder for it to mix out and clear for us overnight, but we're still pretty hopeful that it will. And then as you go east of the Blue fire, that's where things are a little bit different. They had a really good day yesterday and a pretty good day today, but this evening, the smoke from those fires, the Blue, the Dillion, and the Log are all going to be pushing east toward places like Quartz Valley, Etna, Wairika, and of course along the Klamath River going up Highway 96 toward the community of Klamath River. And they've had a pretty good day, but I'm expecting smoke to enter those areas really within the next couple of hours. Is a pretty good chance of that. And then also a heavier push as we get late in the evening toward midnight. It'll probably lift up a little bit, but then have that kind of late morning descending smoke tomorrow morning. So we're likely to see conditions tomorrow reach unhealthy for sensitive groups in several areas, potentially unhealthy in places like Happy Camp, and possibly to very unhealthy or hazardous as you get down to Psalms Bar. And we're expecting basically probably unhealthy for sensitive groups, with some unhealthy when you're our east of the Blue Fire overnight and in the morning. Now, all of this means there's this continued smoke exposure. We're expecting to see smoke off of these fires for quite a bit of time. Smoke is really bad for you. It's bad for everyone. It's especially bad for people with heart or lung disease, children, older adults, folks who are older. I think I already said that. I apologize. Pregnant women, and people who are exposed to a lot of smoke, such as outdoor workers and who are really stuck in it and can't really escape it. And so it's important to be mindful of your exposure and try to reduce it if you can. Stay inside with doors and windows closed. If it's not too hot, try to put a better filter in your HVAC system to clean that air through a better filter. You can use air cleaners to clean a room at a time, or make your own air cleaner. We have posted a video with a demonstration of how to do that with a box fan and a furnace filter. We have great recommendations on what to think of, what you can do and what to think about with wildfire smoke at airnow.gov/wildfires. And of course, throughout this entire time we're facing right now, pay attention to your current air quality. Go to fire.airnow.gov. You'll get updated air quality very frequently, and you can find out what's happening in your area at the specific time that you're looking for it. You can also find our outlooks that will be posted every morning with what we're expecting to see for the day and the next day. All right, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Josh Eichhammer, one of the operations section chiefs here with California Interagency Incident Management Team 1. We'll go ahead and start today over on the Dillion fire in the northeast corner there in what we're calling the Dillion spot. Crews last night did an excellent job closing the door on the last section of open line over here on the spot. That was a really technical piece of ground and an excellent effort by our firefighters. Due to that effort, we're mopping up that today. It's going to be a couple days for the risk to really reduce and fuels to burn out in there, but we're feeling really good about where we are. Coming down Highway 96 into the T-bar structures, again, things are looking real good. We're mopping up, trying to make things as safe as possible in there and leave things better than we found them where we can. Coming down Highway 96, further to the south, we continue to have a structure protection group in place. That group is patrolling and making sure that they're prepared should this fire progress to the south or spot across Highway 96. On the south end of the fire, things are still looking really good at the 96 and Rock Creek confluence. We've had firefighters holding line in there for a couple days. Down here, kind of moving off of the 13N47 road, we do have some spot fires that have progressed and are backing down into Rock Creek there. Firefighters are continuing to evaluate the best way to approach that and trying to bring it back up to the fire's edge. Again, fire out here to the north and west, moving between Pony Peak and Medicine Mountain, continues to progress, and we're continuing to look at opportunities to go direct in there and finding the best places to go indirect should we need to confine and contain the fire there. Work has begun on the 15N30 road coming down towards Pony Peak, and we do anticipate using that as a holding feature should this fire and the spot fires across Dillion Creek progress to the north to try and keep things out of the 96, the critical values at risk in homes along the corridor there. So those are I think the primary actions that are going on the fire. In addition to that, we did put some resources down to the south of the fire today, past Beans Ridge, looking at contingency options if we need to use them in the to prevent fire from pushing further south towards the community of Orleans and Psalms Bar. I'm going to go ahead and move over to the Blue Fire now. As folks in the Syad Valley are likely aware, if you're watching this, you're aware that there's some increased fire behavior in that area. But I want to start out and talk about some things that are going really well with this fire, in particular on the east side. So firefighters have spent a tremendous amount of time and effort really trying to hold this fire on the east side between like the East Walker Creek and Walker Creek Road. We anticipate containment in the near term in that area. And that's due to, again, the excellent work that firefighters have done under really tough conditions. Moving around to the south of this fire, again, firefighters are looking at different ways to access back into Walker Ridge and continue that containment effort through this bowl here. We think we have a good plan for that, and some excellent work done over the last couple days making sure that we can get in there and start going direct where we can. Coming around the horn here off of Blue Mountain, the fire is progressing down, towards No Name Creek. That's a really challenging chunk of ground. Again, we're looking at opportunities to go direct when we have the appropriate ability to do so. Today was not that day. Folks are still evaluating both direct, indirect options, looking back to the east. Same story goes as you come up around towards Salt Creek. That's where the predominant growth of the fire is that you can probably see today. Again, if you're in the area, due to the thunder cells and a lot of the convective lift, we're seeing active fire currently moving downhill towards Salt Creek right now. So we have firefighters in the area. And where I'm going to leave you with the efforts here in the fire is, again, we're working diligently on indirect lines along Grider Ridge. We're working diligently on indirect lines along Slinkard Ridge should we use those. And most importantly, our priorities are up here focused on the community of Syad, the structures in Walker Creek, Grider Creek, Ladd Road, and Syad Creek to make sure that we're prepared if this fire does come down the hill. So we've got a lot of folks in there committed. We got a good plan if this fire is going to bump into town. And in the meantime, folks are diligently doing what they can. And as I mentioned, we are anticipating showing some containment moving forward due to the great work that's been done. That's in a report for the Blue and Dillion fire, and I'll be available after this if there's any questions. Thank you.
All right, the sheriff sent a message that he won't be able to join us, but the evacuations, there's no changes in evacuations. All right, and with that, we'll go to our incident commander.
Good evening. My name is Jerry McGowan. I'm one of the incident commanders on the California Team 1 and basically closing out for questions and answers after this. However, I just want to let you folks know that there's quite a few. There's basically 2,000 firefighters altogether between the two fires, the Dillion and the Blue. But there's a lot of concentration right now on the Blue, as was told by Josh there at operations, that the fire is moving. I'm sure that the folks that have within that community see that within the salt, the No Name, and all those drainages that it's just backing down and rolling out and coming back up on the hill there. We're diligently working on it. We've talked about it. We're talked about some of the tactical strategies that we're using. We're doing a lot of work here in Walker, as Josh said, and so we've been putting a lot of concentration on there. And I think that my expectation is that we're going to be successful, especially on the Walker and all that. And in addition, we have the weather that's going to help us out here in the next few days. You just got to get through some of the hot weather and the dry weather that has occurred here with the instability that has been talked about. And with that, I hope we're delivering as much information as we can to you. We've been doing virtual and in-person meetings between here and Orleans, and we will keep you in the loop. We were doing those operational briefings, the media briefings, and I hope that on social media, and I hope that all that is good for you. Thanks.
All right, we're going to go to OES online. All right, stand by. We're trying to connect with the OES. Okay, you're muted.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
All right, we got you, but you're really quiet, so just 1 minute. Okay, you're going to have to speak really loud.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, I wasn't prepared to talk, but I just wanted, Sheriff and we spoke today, understanding fully that folks are still in evacuation orders and warnings. We're reevaluating those based off of everything that the team is giving us, and then ultimately looking at reducing as needed. Also, animal shelters and human shelters are still open, but we don't have any attendance, so that's we're going to reevaluate that. And then also based on the evacuation orders, if we're downsizing, making sure that we are adequately using our resources on that, and then making sure for you staying safe, paying attention to those alerts. Ready Siskiyou alerts is key for that, and then Genesis Protect is going to protect your zones. And you've noticed throughout the Dillion fire that we've been able to reduce some of those zones, as well as the Blue fire, and that's from community input. So as long as you're giving us that input, we know that we can direct and shape those that's going to work for you. And really, pending any questions, that's all I have, and I'll be online.
Okay, thank you for joining us. All right, that's what we have for the presenters, and we're going to go to a few questions. So if you do have any questions, please put those in the comments right now so that there's a little bit of a delay before we get them. So please put your questions in the comments, and we'll start answering a few of those. All right, so the first one that I have was, when do we expect containment on the Blue fire? So I'll have you address containment one more time about what our expectations are for both of those.
Okay, so as I mentioned, I think we're going to see some containment on the Blue fire as soon as tomorrow. That containment's likely to be in the Walker Road and Creek area here, where firefighters have done an outstanding job trying to really bring this down to the road and secure it and give us a good toehold for future actions. As far as fire's progression to the west on this, fire's progression to the west, containment's going to be variable. Again, we're having a big fire day today. Things are moving around. But as I mentioned, we are building our indirect lines if we're not able to go be successful going direct. And so, again, you're going to have some patience with the numbers. As I.C. McGowan alluded to, there's a tremendous amount of effort going on out there, not only to bring defensible space to people's homes and make sure that we can protect them, but make sure that we're going to be successful in containing this fire in a very deliberate manner. So those numbers again are going to be fluctuating over the coming days, and again, we're working diligently to bring them up.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. The next one we have is a question about maps. So where can we get the KMZ files for the IR perimeters? And KMZ files are our GIS map files, and I'll have you address that one.
Okay, just for the public, we have a website. It's called ftp.wildfire.gov. Foxtrot Tango papa.wildfire.gov. That's a public forward-facing website where we house all of our wildfire data. That's inclusive of IAPs and fire maps, things like that. So that's where I'd suggest you go if you're looking for information associated with like IR, fire maps, things like that, perimeters. And they do have a KMZ file in there that typically you could download that has some of the IR perimeter for folks that want to look at that in Google Earth.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the questions that we had come in. And our next meeting will be tomorrow. Oh, sorry, we have one more right here. I'll hold it.
This would be for Brian. If the smoke glare comes in here thick in the next couple days, is there any shelters for Happy Camp for people to get out of the smoke? For my work, I've gave out all purifiers and stuff that I have to people who critical sick, but we do need people to have place to go to get out of the smoke.
Yeah, great question. So one of the things, air resource centers is something we can definitely do. I know that the Karuk Center down there, we do have some air scrubbers down there, and if that would work, we would love to set that up. I can coordinate that with Daryl in the morning or this afternoon or evening, I guess now. And then if we need an additional air scrubber, we do have a few more that we can make sure to get shifted over to the communities for both the Dillion Fire in Happy Camp area, and then if there's somewhere in Syed, we would love to be able to set that up as well. And then there's also, if there's a need at N95s, we certainly can do that as well.
Great, thank you. That's good. All right. Okay. I believe that's all the questions we have now. And our next meeting will be tomorrow, Friday, September 5th at 6 p.m., and it will be a virtual meeting. For fire information, you can follow the Blue Fire on the Klamath National Forest Facebook page and the Dillion Fire on the Six Rivers National Forest Facebook page, and we are monitoring those for your questions. So put your questions in those comments on the posts. And for fire information, you can also go to ncweb.wildfire.gov. And thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the virtual meeting at 6 o'clock.